Welcome back, and joining me for a look at the day's markets action is Andrew Padoa from Sasfin Wealth. Thank you so much for your time, Andrew. Of course, the big news is the fact that the population in the US is at the voting stations today, of course, where there will be an appointment of a new president, hopefully by the end of the week. Does it look like, though, in whichever direction the pendulum swings, that investors are expecting a market rally?
I think that's fair to say. If we look at the JSE, there wasn't a lot of action going on. I think there's a bit of a wait-and-see approach. I do think if we see a Trump victory that the rand might be under a little bit of pressure. I think the dollar will be stronger. Gold will probably be a bit stronger for the short term, and vice versa if Harris gets in. The financials and tech stocks are probably a little bit more sensitive to the outcome compared to other sectors. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Let's see how it plays out.
All right. So, well, let's take a look at some of the news that did come out on the JSE. Sibanye-Stillwater coming out with an operating update there for the 3 months ended September. Improvement in their production and financial metrics. Stock climbing almost 10% the last time I checked. Is this what really investors have been waiting for from Sibanye after a very, very difficult period?
So I thought the results were kind of in line with expectations. So I wasn't sure why they rallied 10%. That was kind of confusing me for most of the day. We saw, low PGM prices continue to squeeze margins for Sibanye. They're obviously trying to turn things around. It's been a tough few years for them. I think kind of in the heat of COVID, their shares were about 60, 62 Rand. And we're now at, 22 Rand.
Yeah.
So I think this is the challenge with miners. They're either doing really well or really badly. So investors just need to be very careful with their mining exposure because they are just so cyclical.
All right. Well, talking about a company exposure, there's a company that investors do not want any exposure in, at least we saw today, Murray and Roberts. Really, investors not impressed with that stock. It nosedived more than 22% today after releasing a business update, trading statement and cautionary announcement saying that it expects its interim headline earnings to be more than 20 or at least 20% lower compared to the prior period. They did advise for investors to exercise caution when trading on its shares until they get more information. A perfect storm for this company?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of just trying to survive the storm. I was looking at a bit of history here with their sales. So, you're looking at sales for 2024 of around 13 billion Rand. Back in 2010, FIFA World Cup, the construction guys were booming. And a company like Murray and Roberts, their sales in 2012 was 35 billion. So it's more than halved from there. So it's been a really tough space for that construction space. It's been a very difficult period. They were very, very highly leveraged, but I see they've brought that down. That was quite a big talking point in their trading statements. Like you said, earnings expected to fall over 20%. When that's the case, they have to come out and give a trading statement and warn investors. So we'll get their results in the next couple of weeks, and we'll have more information. But so yeah, not great, but hoping they can figure it out and survive.
All right. Well, talking about survival, because Sirus is definitely all about that. They are on an acquisition spree where we got an update today that they bought 2 properties in the UK and in Germany. What do you make of this counter and the latest move?
Yeah, so Sirus's strategy is they're purely a German and UK property counter. Previously, they were purely in German space, and then they've been moving into the UK more and more the last couple of years. So that acquisition they did in the UK, as you said, represents a yield of just over 11% after acquisition costs, which sounds pretty good to me. Sirus, they've got a great track record. Andrew Coombs is the CEO there. He's been there for some time. He's got a lot of his own wealth tied into Sirus's stock. That's great. Love it when management have skin in the game. Sirus is on a forward dividend yield of just over 6%. It's Rand hedge. It's a business we quite like, especially for income clients.
All right. Just before we get to your stock pick, Ferrari also came out abroad with its third quarter results today. We did see, some nice numbers there. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I thought the numbers were fine. I see the shares are getting a bit of a beating. They're
exactly,
down 6%
that's
in
what I
Europe
was
at
wondering.
the moment. Yeah. Look, it was a slight miss on revenue, but not a lot. But earnings were in line. They reiterated guidance. What I thought was quite interesting is they kind of show you the shipments per geographic region, and you can see how China has slowed down a lot. And we've seen that with other luxury goods companies. They've been under pressure. But thankfully, Ferrari doesn't have massive exposure to China. They still got some, but it's nowhere near what some of the other guys have got. So yeah, shares down 6% today, but they were up 40% year to date before this. So I suppose we need a bit of context there.
All right. Well, let's get to your stock pick for today. What are you choosing?
Sure. So my stock pick, Zanati, is Meta, the world's most dominant social media company. 3.3 billion people use their products every day. They've got $43 billion in cash on their balance sheets. So for context, they could actually buy Anglo American and still have money left over. Which is just incredible. So Meta's really well positioned with in the big tech space to monetize with AI by improving their content feeds and their advertising offering. So really powerful business, strong balance sheet, and the valuation is reasonable with a forward PE of 23.
Well, I will tell you that BHP wouldn't be too happy about Meta scooping up Anglo American. Thank you so much for your time and for your insights today, Andrew. That was Andrew Padoa from Sasfin Wealth.